Yes, hello everyone. So today we have do while loop, and then for loop is there. Do while loop, this is post-tested looping structure, where while loop was pre-tested looping structure. Do while loop is also called as exit controlled looping statement. Right, looping statement. Why it is called as exit controlled or post-dated looping structure? The reason is, here you see the syntax. First, we are going to write do, but in front of do, we don't have any conditions like how we were writing in while loop and opening brace. Then the statements, that is the body of loop, and the closing brace of do while loop, and then while, then here test condition. So you can have one statement or you can have a number of statement. There is no like restriction on it. The way how it will execute is, first, directly when it comes to the do keyword, it will directly enter into the body of the loop. That is to the statement one, or here in this, the statement one. Without checking any condition, directly it will enter into the body of the loop, and then after completing the execution of this body of loop, then the while condition will be tested or evaluated. If the test condition is evaluated true, then it will go back to the body of the loop once again, right? The body of the loop once again for execution. Suppose now after that, second time it will execute the body of the loop, then again it will check the test condition. If it is evaluated to true, then what happens is, here at the body of the loop, again it will be executed. Then again it will check the looping condition. So this process will continue until the test condition gets false. Until that, this repetition process will continue. Now, what if at the first stage itself, like for example, it will go to the do, it will execute the body of the loop one time. After that, it will check the condition. First time it is checking the condition. Suppose if the test condition is evaluated to true, then it will continue with the remaining part of the program which is written below the do while loop. Up to the end of the program, it will proceed. Right. So that means the condition is checked upon completing the execution of the body of the loop first time. After completion, it will check the condition. If it is true, it will go back to the body of the loop. Otherwise, it will continue with the remaining part of the program. So this is post-tested because here body of the loop will be executed first, then the condition will be checked next. Whereas in the while loop, the condition will be checked in the beginning, and later on the body of the loop will be executed only when the condition is true. Otherwise, it will not be executed. That is why this is post-tested looping structure. Right. So let us see the diagrammatical representation of do while loop. You can see here, first statement one is there. Directly it will execute the body of the loop, statement one or the group of statement. Then it will check for the condition. If it is true, it will go back to the statement one or to the body of the loop once again. Then if the condition is false, it continues with the next statement. So there are some sample programs to print all even numbers from 1 to 25 using do while loop. So here hash include iostream .h, conio.h, that is console input output header file. And IO manip stands for IO manipulator dot header file. Int I, clear screen. If you are working in an offline compiler, the output will be printed in a fresh new screen. and then I is equal to 2, then do cout set W4, where for printing the value of I, every time it will set 4 spaces, and every time I will be increased by 2. And then the condition checking is that condition is like while I less than or equal to 25. Until this condition is true, it will continue the execution. Printing of even number to check whether it is an Armstrong number. So they have taken these variables. They're asking for the to input one number. Then that inputted number n is preserved in a another variable or temporary variable, we can say num, and sum is initialized to 0. And here what they're extracting the digit from the given number. Suppose if the given number is 123, 3 will be extracted and it will be stored into digit. And then that digit, whatever it has extracted, no, it will be mark like product of that digit will be taken, where the digit raised to 3, that is digit will be multiplied 3 times, and then that answer will be added with the sum, and the result will be assigned to the sum variable. And n is equal to n by 10 says that the given number is reduced by 1 digit. So this process extracting the digit and calculating product of digit raised to 3 and adding it to the sum, then assigning back to the sum variable, and n will be divided by 10. So this 3 statement process will be repeated again and again, right? Again and again until this condition is true. Once the condition is false, then it will continue with the remaining program. You can see here that the sum is equal to num. Num is what it is having the original value of n. If that original number, if it is equal to the sum, then we can say that it's an Armstrong number. Otherwise, Armstrong number, it's not an Armstrong number, right? Yes. So now here there are some comparisons given between while and the do while. First point is while is a pre-tested because it will check the condition in the beginning. Then if the condition is evaluated to true, then the body of the loop will be executed. Whereas in the do while loop, it's a post-dated, post-tested looping statement, where in this the body of the loop will be executed first time. At the end, it will check for the condition. If it is evaluated to true again, then it will go back to the work. Otherwise, so here in this case, this while loop, if it is true, then only it will be executed. Whereas here, before it comes to the know that the condition is true, the body of the loop is already executed first time, right? In the do while loop. Suppose if the condition becomes false in the while loop, then it will continue the remaining statements of the loop. Whereas the same thing happens in do while also. Here also, if the condition is false, the condition becomes false, then the controller comes out of the loop and executes the next set of statements written after the looping statement. Whereas in the while loop, if the condition is false, it will not allow controller to execute the body of the loop. That is the statements written inside the loop. Whereas here, before it comes to know that the condition is false, the body of the loop is already executed, right? Once it comes to know that the condition is false, it will terminate and continues with the remaining statement. The statements may not be executed even once in the while loop, but here it's possible. At least one time it will be executed. This is the syntax of while loop and the syntax of the do while loop. This kind of questions, there is a more chance. And coming to another special loop called as what? For loop, right? For loop, where for loop is considered to be a easiest loop among all the 3 loops. That is while, do while, and the for loop. Where in this, whenever you know that I want to do the execution of a loop, I want to repeat this particular work from 1 to 25 times, then what you can do, you can use for loop. You must know exactly from what, how many times you want to repeat. So it is normally used when we know in advance exactly how many times a set of statements should be repeatedly executed again and again. It provides initialization, loop and condition, increment, decrement process statements in a single line. When one is aware of a fixed number of iterations, then this looping structure is best suited. So the syntax is like this, where for is the keyword. It contains three-part initialization, condition, which are separated by semicolon, and increment, decremented, which is not separated by semicolon. There is no semicolon after the closing parenthesis, and after this opening parenthesis, opening brace, there are set of statements which have to be executed repetitively. Right. And the diagrammatical structure, the flow chart like structure, here it is for counter. So here it is 4 to 15. In that case, so here first it is having clearly from what value to what value it has to execute. Then so now here if this condition is evaluated to true, then it will enter into this body of the loop, and from the next counter it will go back to the condition part. If the condition is evaluated to true, then the body of the loop will be executed. That is next. Okay. This is for loop, where initialization, condition, increment, decrement all comes in one line, whereas in while and do while, they'll be usually in separate lines. But here it is going to come into a single line. Right. And it is an entry controlled loop. Kindly remember. Entry controlled looping statement. Now here in this, you can have multiple initialization also. You can have expression in the condition also. And then here condition is there. Yes. And then the increment decrement is there. So here first the initialization will be done, then the condition will be done, and then body of the loop will execute. Then it will execute the statement. Then the condition will be incremented, it will be checked, then the body of the loop, whatever you have provided with the for loop, that will be executed. Once after execution, it will increment the value, and then it will go back to the condition. If it is evaluated to true, once again the body of the loop will be executed, and after that again increment or decrement. Like this continuously it will keep on working. Right. So let us see some examples how it will work. There is a program to print all odd numbers from right. So this is about print all the odd numbers up to the given limit. So now here is the Indian I, and then here first what we are asking the value for. Right. Once after asking the value of n, then in the for loop you see it always starts from 1 and it is ending at n. And then here set w4 I means the value I where it prints no, first it will reserve 4 spaces and it will force the cout to print its value in those 4 spaces only, right? Okay. Now to find the factor of a number, int n fact I, then this is for calculating the factorial. As we know that factorial of 5 means 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 or 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. For that, they're asking the value for n, then fact is initialized to 1. Whenever there is multiplication related operations, always initialize that sum or a fact with 1 only. Right. And the for loop from I to A. And then after this multiplication is done, so once after completing the loop, the factorial will be calculated and the result will be printed on the screen. Right. It's a practical program, kindly note. To find all the integer divisors of a number. So int n, we are asking the value for n. And now you see, here it will check n modulus I. Here this condition says that if the value of n, if it gets divided from I, then if the remainder is 0, then that I will be printed. Right. Okay. Now here, before we go to this jump statements, first we will see the programs based on while and for loop. All right, one moment. Yes, let us see here one example where I have written all the 3 versions of the loop so that you will come to know how exactly the while should be converted into do while how it should be converted into for loop. See, in any for loop, 3 important sections are initialization, condition, increment, decrement. 3 sections are important. Here you see, write a program to print your name n number of times. So I have taken a variable n to ask the user. This variable will be input will be taken from the user to know how many times they want to print their name. And looping variable I is initialized to 1, where we are asking the value for n. And then in the while loop, you see, we have written I less than or equal to n. It's a pre-tested looping statement. It will check the condition. If it is true, then only it will enter into the body of the loop and it prints habit to code this name 1 time. After that, I will be incremented by 1. Then automatically it will go to condition, that is while line. If it is if the loop condition which is given here, test condition, if it is evaluated to true, then again it will enter into the body of the loop and the first line is printing of habit to code that will be printed. Then I plus plus, again I value will be incremented, then again it will go to while. So this process will be repeated until this condition is false. Once the condition is false, so it will come out from the loop, and here there are no other statement after this loop, so the program will be closed. So let us see the same program, how it can be written in a do while loop. See, when you are converting while loop into a do while, kindly note. So here only the change, what will happen here is, instead of this highlighted line while, you have to write a do. And this while line, you have to write it after the closing brace, of do while loop. with the semicolon you have to write. Remaining all statement wherever they were, before the loop, inside the loop, outside the loop, they are going to stay in the same place. And when I want to convert this into a for loop, you must know three parts. As I said already, initialization and the condition, then increment, decrement. These three parts are very important because in the for loop, all these three parts are going to come in single line. So this is all same. Where you had written while or you had written do, no, there you have to start with for and see the initialization I equal to 1. It is written in the looping variable looping for loop with semicolon, and the condition I less than or equal to in while loop or in the do I loop. So it's going to be written immediately after initialization with semicolon. Then whatever your increment, decrement part is there, that has to be written after condition without semicolon, kindly note, and don't put semicolon after the for loop usually. And the line what is left out in the body of the loop is only this line. So this you write it. If there is anything else left out apart from this increment decrement operator, everything you write it as it is and then close it. So this is how the while, do while, and for can be written, right? So based on this, you can have number of different examples, right? Now say assume that I don't want to, now I'll take example of, okay, this is all I'll take. Say assume that I want to print numbers from 1 to n. So what I should do, instead of habit to code, I want to print that number. So here I'll say I, okay, only this line will be changed instead of that printing of habit to code, where in the I variable, whatever the value is there, so that value will be printed here. Remaining all part is same. Assume that instead of printing even number, I want to print instead of printing natural numbers, serial numbers from 1 to n, I want to print even numbers. So how to do that? So as even number means it starts from 2 and every time it increments by 2. The initial value is 2, right? Here all it's going to be 2, initial value. See the positions where all I am making changes. Condition is remain same, but every time it has to be incremented by 2. So I equal to I plus 2 you have to write. Or you can write shorthand assignment operator I plus equal to 2. That is also valid. I plus 2. And here that I equal to I plus 2 has to be written here. I plus 2 without semicolon. Okay. And now if you want to print odd number, just this initial value I is equal to 2 is there, no? That you just change it to 1. Now here assume that I want to print even numbers only, but without using this increment by 2, this technique, just by incrementing it by 1 technique only, by using modulus operator, we want to print even numbers. In such case, what do you do? Inside the looping statement, you have to write one condition to check whether it is an even number. If it is an even, then only this value will be printed. Otherwise, it will not be printed. So this condition you see, and all the loop, the position of writing this statement will be remain same. Similarly, if you want for odd number, what do you have to do? I modulus 2 is equal to 1. Assume that I want to print all the numbers which are divisible by 5. Then I modulus 5 is equal to 0. You have to write. And now, say assume that I want to calculate the sum of numbers from 1 to n. Right. So in such case, what you have to do, see, I want to show you some program. So here I need to take one extra variable, sum equal to 0, and all the 3 looping statements. little shifting is okay. Sum equal to 0. Here also sum equal to 0. And here we don't want to print the value of I, right? So, or you print the value along with that, you calculate the sum also, that is also possible. I'll just write sum equal to sum plus I, or sum plus I equal sum plus equal to I. It's not equal to assignment operator, actually it is. The regular reading we say equal to, but it is the way how you have to read this is like this. The value of sum plus I is assigned to the variable sum, like this you have to read. In all the loop it is remains same, no change. But one more change, what you have to do is you have to print it. You have to print cout sum equal to sum, this line. So that the final sum will be printed. Okay. And now, if you want to calculate the even sum, what you have to do? Just change the value of I by 2 and every time increment by 2, or you use this if condition procedure to calculate the sum. Assume that I want to calculate the average of numbers from 1 to n. So what do you do? As average is in decimal, right? So float average, this line has to be written yes, float average will be here, here also it is remains same. So sum will be remain same. Here outside the loop, see outside the loop, what you have to do? You have to write the formula average is equal to average sum divided by n. This formula you have to write in all the looping statement. And at last, as the motto of this program to calculate average, no. So directly you can print the average only. So this is variable name avg, that in the inverted comma what I have written, no, it is a string that will be printed as it is on the screen. See, I hope you are understanding how to convert programs in all the three ways I'm showing. There is no much difference in all the three loops. Similarly, assume that I want to calculate, say, a factorial of a given number. Then what we do is here, I'll take this sum program and I'll show you. Sum is what? Addition of numbers. Addition of numbers. Whereas factorial is what? It's a multiplication of numbers. So instead of sum, what do? You take fact equal to 1. That is a multiplication. So you have to change it to 1 initial value, because if you have if you initialize it to 0, then the final answer will be 0 only. So instead of sum, what do? You write fact. Here also fact. And instead of plus sign, you write multiplication sign. Fact equal to fact into I. So all sum equation, you just replace it to factorial formula. And in the printing also, what you write? Factorial. Variable may be in shortcut, but while printing the result in the string, you should have the full form so that the user can understand properly. Okay. And here factorial. Fine. Now assume that I want to print numbers from m to n. In such case, what do you have to do? So I want to print numbers from m to n. So here we go. M to n, they have said I'll take here m comma n. That means I need to insert one more value m in all the declarations. One more variable m is included. Enter the value for m and n. You have to ask for two values because you want to print numbers from m to n. And here you have to ask even for m also. So here I'll insert. Kindly note here instead of in the while you have to write m less than or equal to n, and then you have to print the value of m. You have to increment the value of m, and I is not required in the while loop. Even in the do while loop also not required. Here you are going to print m. You are going to increment m. You are going to check m less than or equal to n. Whereas in the for loop, the initial value for the I will be m, right? Now I all represents the value of m. It's finished or remaining all thing will be same only. I is having the value of m. I less than or equal to n means it's nothing but m less than or equal to n only, right? So this is how you can handle different things. And now, if you want to calculate sum of individual digits of a given number, that one program we will do. So here, this program only I'll take. See here, what our intention is what? If I give you a number 123, your program should calculate sum of 3 plus 2 plus 1 or 1 plus 2 plus 3. For that, you know, I think I is not required. We require digit and we require sum equal to 0. These are the variables we require. We don't require I here. For loop will alter it later. And here, the while condition, you know, n not equal to 0. And in the cout, what you have to do, you have to extract the digit by writing n modulus 10, which extracts a digit, right? So first I have to replace all the conditions. First I'm altering only while and do while. Later on I'll show you for. And the first statement is what? Digit. So there is no cout in this. And here also what? You need to extract digit. Once after extracting the digit, what do you have to do? You have to add it to. So you have to sum equal to sum plus digit. The individual digit what you extracted, no, that should be added to the sum, and the result finally should be assigned to the sum variable, right? As I told you already, don't use the word equal to sign. It's an assignment operator. So, and after that, here, next what you have to do is, you have to reduce the n by one digit. If it is 123, second round it will be 12, third round it will be 1, next round it will be 0. This is same in both while and do while, right? This is the version. Now we have to print it. Cout /n sum of individual digit. We'll just write sum. Space is less here than sum. Okay, this is common in all the three while loops and all the three looping statement, not only while. Now let us alter for loop. The initial value of I is n, and I must continue until it is not equal to 0. And every time I should be divided by 10. That is, digit is equal to digit by 10. If you want, you can do one more thing, right? It is not mandatory that you have to take always I only, so that you have to come out from that concept. So what we do, instead of I, you know, I'll write, yeah, I is required here. I is required because I is representing the value of n. So simple way I'm showing. One more way also I'll show you for loop. And here I is equal to I divided by 10. And one more line is what? Here that sum line. This line is common even in the for loop also. Right? and this is the closing brace of for loop, and here the main program is closed. Okay, this is how individual digits can be calculated. Now see, suppose the another version of calculating this digit can also be done like this. See, initialization, you can have different versions of the for loop, right? That means initial values can be missed. Assume that I'm here actually we require one more variable. I am taking, and then in the for loop, you know what we do? I'll not write initialization, just I'll put semicolon because n is my initial value. And after that, n is not equal to 0. And every time n is n equal to n by 10. Fine. That's all. Like this also you can do it. N is the initial value. Initial values can be skipped. You can have multiple initializations, right? Even you can skip the condition, you can write that condition inside the loop. Incrementing can also be written inside the loop. It's possible, right? Those are the different versions of the loop. So these are some examples. There is no limit on giving examples on looping statements. Any number of examples will come in this. And I have shown you the tracing part in the while looping statement in the while loop initially. The same thing you have to try for do while and the for loop also. Okay. Thank you. This is all about do while and for loop, how to convert while to do while to for loop. I've shown you some programs here. So kindly check it out. Next class, we are going to move with the other topic. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.